We're off and running with another episode of Helmet Talk, and today I have a very special guest. If you guys come here on the weekends here to Ray's, you're gonna see this face.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
I think for most people they enjoy seeing the face because it's a lot of fun.
It's humorous.
It's humorous. It's fun. It's fun to look at. And you know when you walk in the door and you see him that you know you're going to have a good time when you're here at Ray's. So this is Joe Koenigsmark, which I know nobody really knows that.
That was a mystery.
It is. So we're going to do like truth or lies.
AKA.
Is it Koenigsmark? Is that the way you pronounce your last name?
It goes both ways. Some people pronounce it Koenigsmark or Koenigsmark. I think the proper pronunciation is Koenigsmark.
Okay. So, but nobody knows you by that.
No, everybody knows me as Kona.
Kona. And it's just Kona Joe.
Kona Joe.
So where did Kona Joe come from?
When I first started riding mountain bikes, everybody was on everything popular.
Right.
And I had happened to see Kona at Century Cycle.
Yeah.
And I always thought they had that cool island vibe to them, so I just got it. Didn't know how great the bikes were. They actually turned out to be, they're pretty darn good bikes.
Yeah.
But nobody had Kona, so it was like I stuck out in a sore thumb. It's like, oh, Kona. Joe's got the Kona. Kona Joe.
Was it Ray that gave you the name?
I'm not even sure who did. It might have been either my buddy Al Persosky or Frank Vega, the guys I was always riding,
And it just stuck.
On the weekends. Yeah.
So when you started working here, it was...
Yeah, it was Kona Joe.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So a lot of people know...
I've been called a lot of other stuff.
Well, that's stuff that we can't say here at Ray's. We'll have to bleep all those names out. But so... everybody knows you by Kona. They come in, they're like, hey, there's that guy. And, they know they're in for a good time. But for those of you who don't know you, like, personally, like, you do like to save your pennies all year long. And the one time a year, you always go to Hawaii. Yeah. So I thought maybe because you liked going to Hawaii that it was Kona kind of thing, too. But is that just kind of like you accepted it because... like the Kona, and you just sort of, like you have it on your name tag?
The bike came first, the name of that first, yeah. And that's my wife, Margot. She loves Hawaii. So she was the one that really got me into going to Hawaii all the time.
She drug you along, and then you fell in love.
Yeah, it's not hard to, hang out on the beach and work on this awesome tan I have.
It's called the Ohio tan.
Yeah.
When you go away
Starts
for vacation.
From here down.
Yeah. It's always with the T-shirt. You got a little ring around the collar, and you got the socks. The little sock sprint.
100%.
Yeah.
The bike name was first before the trips, but it works. But outside of the bike park, nobody knows me as Kona Joe. Like my other world, my dad's friends used to call me Von Joe. Because the pinstriping, one of the famous stripers was Von Dutch.
Right.
He did that style, so they just kind of used to call me Von Joe. And I'm German, so it all ties in.
For those of you who don't know, Kona and his father, I think, started the company, right?
Yeah, started the business in 1957.
1957, and it is what did it start out as? Because, I don't know that much. I don't know how it fits into a category, but there's like collision shops, then there's custom shops, and then, is that it? I mean...
Yeah, he was always 100% custom paint, custom body and paint. It wasn't until the 80s where we started doing more collision work, just...
to pay the bills.
Yeah, it helps pay the bills.
Right.
But it's always been probably 95% custom work.
Yeah. So from the time you were, how old were you started hanging out at the shop?
Oh, a little kid, probably, 8, 9, even earlier. Yeah. My dad would take me and my brother on Saturdays to his shop in Lakewood, and we wouldn't do much other than just kind of hang out and look at the cars and watch Dad work.
Play with the air guns.
No, I didn't do that. Really, I don't know why. He always had a dog, shop dog, so we'd play with the shop dog and just wait for lunchtime. There was a killer little greasy spoon next door, Prangs it was called. That was, we'd wait till noon and Dad would take us over there for lunch. That was the highlight of the trip. And we, if we swept the floor or something, we'd get a few bucks. Then we could go, a store that was called Enchanted Toy Shop back in the day.
Right.
If you had like $4, you could buy all kinds of cool stuff, trading cards or whatever. So
that's
great.
What
we spend our money on.
So when was it when you finally just said, this is kind of what I want to do?
Oh, even when I was that young, and I was there, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait, until I'm old enough. I'm going to do this with him. So, but yeah, once I graduated high school in '83, I went right from school
to working 40 hours a week.
Next day, working with my dad,
and starting to chop tops and glass and like.
I wasn't doing everything 100%. I was still helping him. He was teaching me along the way. I learned a bunch through the years, but it started out slow and.
So with your particular instance, it was learn by doing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, nothing I learned in school.
And never worked for anyone else.
I had some part-time jobs for buddies of his. One was in a greenhouse, doing greenhouse work.
But not through like other body shops where like you went to another body shop to work and like you learned a different technique or learned whatever.
I learned
like everything was self-learned.
Yep.
And then, there was no YouTube back in those days.
No.
There was no internet. There was no nothing. I mean, you had a phone hanging on the wall, and when it rang, you picked it up.
Yeah.
There was no, I'm going to go on my phone and check out how this guy's painting this car and how this guy's chopping that top and how this guy's lowering this car.
Learned it by screwing up. And my dad would let me screw up, just to teach me, how to fix stuff. It's not, everybody screws up. It's how you get out of those messes is what makes good paint guys, body guys.
Yeah.
Fixing the screw-ups.
Do you remember the very first car you ever sprayed?
No,
painted?
I literally don't. I mean, I would say it's probably my own, my 50 Mercury. That I was probably the first one I started working on, priming. I don't know if it was the first I painted. That I really don't remember.
Do you think maybe it was like a model car?
Oh,
or
yeah.
like maybe one of your toys or something?
Yeah, it was definitely models. I got plenty of model cars that I painted metal flake or candies just because that's what Dad had laying around. I wasn't one using spray cans from the store because I had a body shop at my
You didn't need the spray cans. No Rust-Oleum.
No, I was using big spray guns to spray a little model, but yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so those were probably my first, but I don't know what my first actual car was.
Right. So you said that your brother, who's now gone.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been gone for a couple of years now.
4 years now.
4 years now. But your brother was into it as well? Was he there working at the shop too?
He worked for my dad just a little bit, but he was way smarter. So it was, he was far better not being in that business. But he ended up working for PPG, which is a paint company that he became head of their design department. So he was designing the colors that we were spraying. So he went into the more
corporate
technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was too smart. We always say body guys or painters are just dummies.
I don't know if I'd agree with that.
Yeah, they might argue that too, but
Of course they would, because I mean, like you said, like there's a collision shop
We're
where
the Rodney Dangerfields. We get no respect.
I respect it because I mean it's an art.
Yeah.
I mean.
100%.
I mean, I understand what goes into it. So maybe somebody who doesn't understand exactly what goes into making it look like what you see, like when you're walking through a car show or you're walking through like the big one that we have here at IX Center. It's the little things that people who are just layman car show people that will just buy a car and shine it up and go show it. They don't understand like the lights. Let's just say the headlights. A custom guy would actually like maybe cut the whole front end off and design their own, headlights and how that whole front end looks, or maybe even like the side panels and all the lines.
That's called Frenching, the headlights. You actually take the stock ring, which was usually chrome, and you welded it to the body, and then it got painted body color. Or, taking, a headlight from a 53 Buick and grafting it onto a 50 Ford or a 50 Mercury.
Right,
that was
right.
popular. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't understand that, though, when they're going through a car show and they're just looking at the car and they're like, "Wow, that looks really cool," and there's something special about it.
Yeah, if it's done right, it
but
looks
I don't,
natural.
Yeah, because you can't really pick it out because it's done so well, and it looks like it just molds, and it's supposed to be that way.
I mean, that's what customizing was born from, taking what the factories started with and making it better.
Right.
Improving on their design, going, man, this car would have been killer if these quarter panels would have been a little bit longer and the taillight would have stretched out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's when, that's what customizing,
Right.
why it became what it did.
Right.
It was just evolution of going, well, that car is pretty nice, but we can make it better.
Well, it's been a good thing, and I have utmost respect for the guys who do that. So you were in the shop and you learned how to do all this stuff, and painting and body work and sheet metal, and I don't even know what else goes into all that stuff, but I'm sure there's a lot. And then you had your own cars and your own projects. When did you ever have time to get into the bicycle stuff?
That was easy because, a kid of the 80s, BMX became big, bicycle motocross. So, I mean, I was a skateboarder first, still am, but, the love of motocross and having my bicycle become like a mini motorcycle was like just evolution. Right. So I originally had a Schwinn like this that my dad would weld gussets in it to make it stronger.
Yeah.
Crossbar on the handlebars, and it was just evolution. And then I could spray it myself and whatever color I wanted.
Right.
But it was an easy transition to
go.
I think I can't tell you how many painters I know that are into BMX bikes, just mountain bikes. Even if they're into mountain bikes, we all started with BMX.
It is true.
Just some stayed with the BMX. Unfortunately, it just seemed like it was the bikes were just a little too small for me.
Right. Right.
I wish, because BMX looks cool as hell, fun.
It's funny that you say that your dad and my dad did the same thing. Was like he was a hands-on guy, and he would just see something and go, "Oh, well, if we cut this off and weld this onto this and whatever." My dad kind of did the same thing, but now we're forwarding almost 40 years. I hate to say now.
Just a few.
40 years later, we're looking at stuff like this that was built in 1968, and you go to pick this up and you look at this and you're like, why would you ever want to put gussets on something like that? Because this is super sturdy, but it's not technology. And this was, some of this stuff I think was sort of brazed on.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the full bead welds around this stuff, and it was fragile.
There wasn't. The kids nowadays just go through a catalog and there's hundreds of frames. There was nothing back in the late 70s, early 80s where we can just call up a company and get a frame. And if they weren't, in our rural area. So it was the easiest thing to do was, hey, let's just beef up that old bike, because we were jumping ramps that were basically just 2x4s off of bricks, and
sketchy,
pedaling Mach 10 down the sidewalk and hitting it. There was no smooth landings. It was hard. So we had to do the best we could to make these things hold up. And the frames usually did it. Was usually the forks that
forks, bars
just did not hold up well.
Yep. Seat post clamps, believe it or not, were not that great.
Yeah,
when you went to go tighten them up,
Yeah.
They would bend and you wouldn't have the right size post, so you try to tighten it a little more and put some spacers in there, and it just wouldn't work. But yeah, I mean, those were the early days.
And we were lucky we had fathers that could actually weld stuff. You know, some kids didn't have that, but
yeah,
you know, I was lucky that we had a surplus of old scrap metal laying around and welders that my dad could weld that stuff in.
So you're still doing that today? You're still at the shop? You still have the
it's
custom
a
shop?
love. Yeah, it's not, it gets harder. There's not a lot of expendable money for a lot of people to work on their cars like it used to.
Right.
But yeah, I love doing it. It's a love. I'm not going to be a millionaire doing it, but it's a love.
But it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%,
right? I mean, you've turned it into a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a job, but it's way, way more of a job than.
Yeah, it overtakes my whole life. My life is all about just my painting, my friends that custom paint.
Right.
I love that. I love seeing what they're doing, pushing them to do cooler stuff.
Yep.
Definitely. I mean, I take vacations strictly to go see, I go to shows, but I go to see my friends that are all over the world that are painters too. So
right. And not only in the car side of things, but also in the motorcycle thing. So So you have like a little side business, I guess. Would you call it a side business?
No, it's still part of the thing. It's just because our shop was always noted as doing cars, pre-48, hot rods, custom stuff. But the motorcycle stuff was more in the '80s. Was more the Harley stuff, and it was splash graphics. It was a little, I wouldn't say cheesy, but I always loved, coming from my dad's background, the '60s style custom paint jobs of metal flake and pearls and candies, and that was always, as it made a resurgence in the chopper world, guys were liking that type of paint job. So I was doing some of those, and just for kicks, I signed one of my paint jobs, Angel Dust Cycle Paint, and it just kind of like the name Kona Joe, it kind of stuck. So that was just kind of an offshoot of guys that wanted motorcycle stuff done in that '60s style.
Right.
They could. It was still, Jerry's House of Colors, but that was kind of marketed towards, hey, if you wanted a cool '60s vibe paint job,
Call Angel Dust.
Yeah, it was the same number, but it was kind of.
What made you sign it as Angel Dust?
I don't know.
Was it something you'd been thinking about?
Yeah, just
throwing
Angel
stuff
Dust,
around.
the drug of the '60s, that was trippy, and the paint jobs were considered trippy, so it was just, and it just was a cool. I think it has an impact to it.
It does. It does. I love it.
Yeah. So it worked.
That's good. So you're still at the shop, still toting that flag and still doing it, and that's fantastic.
The weekends that I'm here. And
so that leads me into that. Like, so you work 5 days a week. So we go through this all the time. So for those of you who don't know, like we've been working together for a long time, and some of this stuff I already know. But for those of you who don't know all this stuff about Joe, I think it's good that you know these things. But so you're working at the shop, married, have a couple kids, right? So the kids kind of started doing kind of the same thing that you were doing, where they skateboarding and BMXing and stuff like that. And then they eventually got into the mountain bike stuff.
Yep.
So then you kind of said, oh, well, I'm going to get a mountain bike too and ride, and we'll go riding. Is that basically?
I had a mountain bike before they had bikes, but they saw me riding. And that was, just like, I guess, the evolution of me and my dad.
Right.
They wanted to do what I was doing, because early on it was just me taking bike trips with my friends, mountain biking, and probably the biggest one that used to kill them is when I went to Snowshoe and they saw the pictures and they so wanted to do that.
So when they got old enough, then you guys started riding together, riding in the woods, and doing some trips.
Yeah, and that's how I met Ray the first time at Snowshoe. This crazy guy doing downhill, and he'd stop in the middle of his ride and smoking cigarettes. I'm like, this dude's nuts, man. Takes everything out of your lungs. And he's like just bombing the hill, dropping a couple cigarettes, and then just killing it again. And
Keep
I'm like,
going.
So we just started talking to him, and he brought up his crazy idea of renting a warehouse and building all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. I'd love to check it out. I said, come by anytime. So I did. And I think I came by myself the first time, not the boys. And he's like, I'm like, what can I do to help? And, it was simple as bending nails, pulling nails out of wood that he had, picked up from a job site or something.
Right. All legally.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
100%.
So did you meet Ray at Snowshoe, and then you guys found
Yeah.
out that you both lived in Cleveland?
Yeah.
So you didn't meet here in Cleveland.
No,
you met
no.
in Snowshoe,
Yeah.
and then you go, oh, hey, man, I live in Lakewood. And he's like, oh, I live in, wherever he was
Yeah.
living at the time in Ohio City or
Yep.
whatever it was at that time. And then you were like, wow, that's kind of weird. And then he told you about the story about the park.
I think my buddies Al and John, I think they knew Ray
Okay.
through mountain biking before
Yep.
me. But
Through the
that's
races, going to races or
Yeah,
going to ride
exactly.
downhill and all
Yeah,
that.
because they were into it a lot more than I was at the time. I was just getting into it.
Right.
So yeah, and we had, just met him on, like I said, on the trail. We had taken a break halfway down a run.
And he was sitting there.
Yeah, having a cigarette. And
Yo, what's up?
that was cool. I mean,
You're
maybe
like,
not
hey.
the healthiest, but to be able to do that and still smoke, I'm like, wow, this dude's pretty rad.
Yeah. Well, if you know Ray's story, then it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
like
Yeah, you
he's
go
like
back and go.
he's like I had a lot of habits, and if it's just this one habit I got left,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it.
Unfortunately, I missed out on some of the other habits, but I should have hit him up at one of the parties at night at Snowshoe.
Yeah,
Might have been a whole
Snowshoe,
different
right?
Story.
It might have been.
Some night skiing, I guess. A lot more to snowshoe.
There's a lot of night skiing going on. If there's
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
missed it.
I don't really know that.
Maybe.
I wasn't around there.
None
so
of that is
that's
proven.
alleged.
Yes.
Alleged snow skiing
Maybe.
at night. Yeah, maybe.
But-
In the summer.
But yeah, Then
So-
I started helping.
But when you first came here though, the park wasn't open.
No, this was still in its early, working on stage.
This is when he had like the doors locked.
Yeah, it was just the middle section.
Yeah, and at some point though, he had like the doors open and this and that, and he claims that he couldn't get anything done because there was people always coming by because the rumor got around that this guy Ray,
Yep.
which outside of his little clique of people, nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
And then the word started to spread that this guy Ray was building this park, this mountain bike park, and you just happened to be like kind of like on the inside a little bit, so you were able to come in and just basically be like, hey, point me in the right direction.
Yeah, I would love. Yeah, I thought his idea was killer. I'm like, yeah, whatever I can do to help, man, I'd love to help. And
he
like,
says, what do
"Sure."
you do for a living?
Yeah,
And you go, well, I paint
Paint
cars.
cars,
And he
man.
goes, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I got this.
I got a hammer you could pull. You could straighten nails. It's like straightening a fender.
He's like, but I'm going to buy this big paint gun.
Yeah,
And
he would never let me use a saw. I don't know why.
Especially not a chainsaw.
Yeah, pull nails out. That was it. But yeah, later on, then because I painted, I was, he'd give me the airless and 40 gallons of color and go, yeah. But then he'd yell at me. He's like, remember, it's not a hood of a 50 Merc. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I know.
Get the color on. But then if I left it streaky, he'd be like, hey, you need to put more on. I'm like,
Yeah.
So
I do understand that part of it when he says, just put the color on it. Nobody's going to pay attention to it. And I was always like very perfect in doing this stuff like you were.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like I was going to put my name on it, but
Yeah,
you're not.
exactly.
But you're not. Nobody's going to know that you painted it or that I painted it.
when I
They're
was
going to go to
stenciling
him.
those trees, I wanted them to look just like they were the forest.
And there's only one wall left in here with those trees on
on it, yeah.
And
But we still have those stencils, I believe, no?
I don't know if they survived the last clean out.
Oh, okay.
I think we might have one as like a legacy thing where we kind of kept it.
Caked with green paint.
Caked.
Yeah.
Caked with green paint. There's no more cardboard left. It's literally just paint with every now and then you have to go in there with an X-Acto knife or something and cut the paint out by the cardboard, and it still sort of looks like a tree. But there's only one wall, and it's behind the front counter if anybody's interested in seeing that. But it's behind the front counter where we put the BMX bikes and the rental bikes. That wall right there is an original paint with the original paint and the original tree stencils on it. And it worked.
Oh, yeah.
It totally worked with those like skinny pine looking trees that were painted all the way around the original space. And all that stuff was painted by you or him or, just basically a handful of guys that were in here volunteering. And then you know, when your kids were old enough, or I don't know how old they were at that time, but they were riding.
Yeah,
right.
They were little.
So they came in to help out a little bit.
Yep.
You know, doing what they can, taking out trash.
They didn't do much, but you know, Ray definitely loved the kids. He thought it was, you know, rad that the little kids wanted to, you know, were into mountain biking and riding. So he'd always give them simple, you know, if it was pushing a broom and sweeping up sawdust or helping me pull nails out, you know, he loved it and they loved it. And then he would just, you know, I became a founding member, so we got to ride for free once the park opened up.
Right.
And, you know, for helping out over the summer.
Sure.
And you know, I would have paid. You know, I thought what he was doing was super cool.
I was the same way too. Like I would, you know, volunteer my time to make sure that this park was going to stay alive. And
yeah,
you
that
know,
was it.
He was always very generous with that stuff, and I was just like, no, man. Like, I'll pay. But
he paid us in a lot of pizza.
A lot of pizza.
Oh my God. I don't know why I don't look like a pizza now. He would just have stacks of pizza for everybody that came.
It's great though, because pizza is the great, like, kind of
you
bringing everybody together.
Yeah.
You know, let's all get together and have a slice of pizza. You know, and you finally get to see that person that you saw from across the room, and they're over there, you know, doing whatever they're doing, and finally you get to meet them at lunch or at dinner.
Somebody you didn't know, because I didn't know a lot of these guys.
Yep.
Other guys that were helping.
Yep.
But you would sit down while we were taking a little break, and you're eating pizza, and you'd meet these people, see what their backgrounds were, and it ranged. I mean, there was, you know, school teachers and just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But we all had that common, you know, we were into bikes.
Into bikes, yep. And then when you left here at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get stuff done, go back to your normal job, and then come back here at the end of the day and put some more work in.
He didn't care if you could give 3 hours or 20 hours.
Right.
He appreciated every little bit you could do.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so kind of fast forward a little bit. I know I'm jumping a little bit because some of the stuff is interesting, and I kind of want to talk about some of the very first days it was open. But when did it go from I'm a volunteer to I'm going to work the counter?
You know, I'm not even sure of when it was. I don't remember the actual date. I'm sure we can by looking at, you know, the paperwork, but. Yeah, it was just the one time he's like, hey, you want to actually get paid to work here? I'm like, yeah, what the hey? For me, it was a good break from cars. My life just evolved was always cars, motorcycles. Yeah. But, you know, my love of riding bikes, it was like, yeah, it was meeting different people that weren't car related. Mm-hmm. So it was just a fun thing to do.
Was it like from day one, or was it like the next year it was open? Do you remember like the first year it was open and what the vibe was?
Yeah, it was really cool that first year because it was just so new. There was nobody doing it. It was just unheard of to go, yeah, I'm going to build stuff indoors. There were plenty of, you know, somewhat trails outdoors. Mm-hmm. Some legal, some illegal.
Most of them were illegal, actually.
Yeah. But to actually think of something indoors was crazy. So, the excitement from most people it was really cool.
Yeah.
To come in here and go, oh my God. And it's great that we see that still today.
We do.
People like come in and they're just like a deer caught in a headlight. They look and they're like, oh my God. And we're like, yeah, you're only seeing a small portion. Wait till you get out there and it, you know, goes another 100 yards one way and another 100 yards the other way.
I do remember a pretty good, like, important part of the park that people don't really recognize that much because it's taken for granted a little bit. But I do remember the first year that it was open, it was almost the signs. So he was very adamant about signage, directional arrows, turn this way, stop here, yield here, merge there. This is called this space, this is called that space. And those are the things that they almost feel like they're inviting. right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, where else would you go to ride your bike where you would have signs to tell you where to go?
Yeah,
like,
usually they're telling, as a skateboarder and, BMX, most signs said you can't do it here. Get out of here, punks.
Right.
This
right.
is actually saying, yeah, we want you to ride here. If you're this skilled, come this way.
I remember what we called at the very beginning hump jumps, right? Were they called hump jumps? A lip and a landing, and it had like a crest on the top. And there was a design purposely for that crest, was that a sharp edge for the landing, if you came up short, like it would throw you forward if you came up short. With the crested, you could still land and still roll out of it fine without going over the bars. And that was Ray's idea, to do the hump jump kind of thing. And it looked weird looking at it until you rode it and you were like,
it's
I get it now.
People safe.
Yeah, but the mountain bike, so you were talking about, some of the trails were legal, some of the trails are illegal, most of them were illegal. But how many times did you go out to a trail and ride and there be no signage?
Oh, yeah.
Zero. You'd be out in the woods and be completely lost. You'd come to an intersection where there'd be 5 trails all coming together. Nothing told you. And back then, you didn't have the internet on your phone. You didn't have Strava. No. You didn't have All Trails or MTB Project or anything like that to look and go, oh, okay, I'm right there. I just need to go over here and there's the other trail. It wasn't like that. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. People who came from the mountain bike world, who were used to kind of getting lost in the trails and not having that signage and always saying, God, I wish there was more signage.
Yeah.
When you come in here, there's bombarded with it.
Yeah.
You're bombarded with it. But there was another meaning for that. It was, yes, inviting. Yes, we want you to come and we want you to ride this way. But it was also a safety. Like, we want everybody to go in this direction. Yeah. Everybody's going in this direction, so we don't have to worry about people coming at you. If you're going really fast at a certain part or a feature, you know that somebody isn't going to be coming up the other way.
Yeah.
So, like, his thinking about this whole thing was original from the start, and it went deep. It wasn't just, I just want to ride my bike in a warehouse.
Yeah,
that's how it started.
It would have been super easy.
But it was directional arrows. It was, this is the lounge. This is where you hang out. This is where you order pizza from. Yeah. This is where, and it was all
features.
The signage.
There's a drop off to let you know, so you just didn't willy-nilly fall off.
And I'm sure at other places, I'm sure there's people watching this who's going to say, oh, well, I rode at a place, all the ski resorts had, this way and that way. And maybe that's where he got the idea from, was the ski resorts, like, this is a Black Diamond, this is whatever. But it was every now and then. Here it's like you're pretty much, when you're on a trail, you're going to be on that trail. Yeah. So when
they're more intense throughout the years. And that's just because of more traffic coming in here.
Right.
Early on, there was a lot of signs, but there's triple the amount of signs now.
You know what else has evolved here from the very beginning when you were here doing that? How many holes did you drill in the floor?
Oh, a bunch.
Why would you drill holes in the floor?
Conduit. Stick conduit in there, and then we had that plastic fencing. Had to drop over.
It was like snow fence, right? It was like orange snow fence.
Yep.
And that's what was the divider for each section or each part of the trail.
And then every time we changed the trail, we'd have to drill more holes. We didn't fill the old ones, just drill more. It was like, we were like aerating the ground.
How many holes do you think are in the floor out there that you drew?
Millions. Millions. I'm not even saying a couple hundred.
So it was a white PVC pipe, and you just stuck it in the ground with you made sure that it was capped. It had one of those little plastic safety with the safety orange snow fence. But the snow fence was a budget thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It wasn't going to stop your bike from crashing into somebody else.
But now
divider.
Right, but now it's all made of wood.
Yeah, it got walls.
Because of the success of the park, and now we're able to buy at least, secondhand OSB, to build these walls with out of wood now. But a lot of people, that is the one thing when I talk to them about the old days of the park, that they'll say, do you remember the orange fencing?
Yeah.
And drilling all those holes.
As it progressed, it used to have some hay bales too.
That's it, yeah.
Hay bales.
Hay bales, and then once the hay bales started making a big mess out there because everyone was hitting the hay bales and it would just kind of fall apart because they'd be so dry, then they put them in garbage bags.
Yeah, cover them in And then, obviously Fox got smart to that whole deal, and they were making actual fitted covers for hay bales. So we had a few Fox ones that were out there throughout the park.
Yeah, yeah. So he said, "Hey, Joe, come and work the counter."
But it wasn't. I don't know necessarily it was working the counter, but that was, that was probably the main job anyway. Come work here, and I didn't know what I'd be doing, to tell you the truth.
But it was never a full-time gig.
No, just for me it was just always part-time. Just because I had my full-time gig. This was just a nice getaway. My weekends. In the winter. Not that I'm not busy at the shop, but it seemed to fit good.
Yeah.
To have something on the side in the winter, because summertime all the big car shows are on the weekend, so it definitely wouldn't work for me in the summer.
So how long has it been since you've worked here? How long have you worked here?
It's not since the beginning, but I bet you every bit of, 15 years the park's been open? 16.
Yeah. I would say
16.
I would say 16 years. Yeah. This is the
04
16th.
was the.
Yep. 04.
So I bet you it's probably 10 or 11 years that I've actually been paid to work here.
Yeah.
I would guess, because it wasn't the first year. It was a couple years before I actually.
Yeah. And it's always just been on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
Yep. Yeah.
And then every year we get together. Like, I don't talk to you all summer. I only see you on the weekends, which is great. I wish I could see you more in the summer. But I'm busy. I'm busy. You're busy. Like, it's just kind of like we see each other when we're working on the weekends. And then, in the summer, we don't see each other. But I always give a call.
Oh, yeah.
To you.
That same call.
The same call every year.
You really want to come back?
I do. I go, "Hey, Joe, you know what this phone call's for, right?" And you're like, "Yeah, you're going to ask me to come back," like that. And I'm like, no, I'm not asking you to come back. I'm gonna give you an out.
If you want to come back.
Do you really want to come back and work every weekend in the winter here at Ray's?
Yeah.
I try and give you the out every time.
It's the greatest job in the world, man. People don't realize that. The people are amazing. All the great people that I work with, you and Berto, and
yeah.
How can you not, man? It's just Timmy. I don't want to skip Timmy.
Yeah, I mean,
all the young kids, Ty and Jack and Davey, they're great kids. They really are a good bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Great riders, and they're really good kids.
Yeah.
And not to mention, the original crews that, that Nina and Bobby D and
Logan.
Yeah, they're just, just all good, solid people that I met through this place. And they're friendships that I still have today. That's why I keep coming back, because the people are amazing. You meet great people.
Yep.
You don't realize how much you have in common with them, because biking's just a small part of our lives. Some of it's bigger, but we have that common thread. Then you find out there are other likes, and then you see people at shows, seeing bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't foresee never not working here. Even if I didn't, for some reason, I'd still be here.
You'd still come and hang out?
Yeah, I'd be hassling you guys.
That would be all right.
I don't foresee me ever leaving.
But I would just always give you the, Joe, you don't have to come back. You don't have to, and you're like, "No, I'm in, man, I'm in." I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna be here every weekend." Yeah, no problem, I'll do it. I'm like,
and you guys are still.
So I hang up the phone. I go, "Yeah."
You guys are still great as far as, because there are some things I do in the wintertime.
Yep.
Off for the weekend, and you guys are always cool about it. Going, that's cool. We got somebody to cover.
Yeah, I mean, you don't do much here anyway.
No. I'm just a
statue.
Statue.
You just stand out there and just go, "Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey,
what can I get you?" That's not my job. Berto! They need something fixed. Because as long as I've been around bikes, I don't know how to fix them very well. You would think I'd pick up on it, but...
Well, I think you've got enough people.
Yeah.
That maybe if you needed some help with your bike,
I think
that would happen if you ever needed it.
Yeah, my boys are pretty good with fixing bikes. Worst comes to worst, I let them do it.
Yeah. So Austin, your youngest, he rides still quite a bit, and his
fiance.
future wife.
Yeah,
Jonna works here.
And she works with me, so that's crazy.
That is
I wouldn't want
crazy.
to work with me, but yeah, she puts up with my flatulence.
Everybody puts up with your flatulence. You got anything for the studio audience there?
Got nothing right
got
now.
Nothing
man.
right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
If the camera would have been running 5 minutes early before we started this, we were blasted.
Blasted off. But it's turned into almost like a family thing.
Yeah. Joey
you.
still rides, not as much. He's busy
Yeah.
with his life, but he comes in here with Austin and still rides.
Yeah. Isn't it kind of weird how you see the cycle of people that come through the door and like how many people that you've met, through all these years, and I know for myself I see it too, and you see this, it's cyclical. It's people come in and they have like their time where they ride here a lot, and then they move on with their life or they move to another place. Just today, we had a guy come up and shook my hand and said, "Thank you for everything you do. I just got transferred to Kansas City.
Yeah, moving to KC.
I'm moving, and I'm bummed, but I just wanted to come in and say thank you for everything. I had a great time while I was riding here. I'll be back, whenever I'm in town, but it's kind of weird, isn't it? Where people, it's such a part of their lives.
We've seen little kids,
grow up here.
Reed Boggs, plain and simple. He was just a little kid when he was just a Grom riding here, and then he ended up working here, and same thing. He turned into a fine, upstanding, man of the society, biking community, doing crazy stuff. Yeah, but we saw a lot just riders that have kids of their own.
Yep.
That's why we didn't see them at the park. They'd be off, raising them. Now they're to the age where they can ride, so they're bringing them in and
they're bringing them back
riding.
And going, "Hey guys, what's up?" Like, "Oh my God, where have you been?" Yeah, Ponte is one of those.
Yeah.
Well, some of the Chenga One kids, I call them kids because they're much younger, but like a lot of the Chenga One skate park guys, that were really big into that scene. They had their lives and they had their kids, so now they're bringing them here to raise. As fathers.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see all that, going down, through the years. And, it's just with you being like, that's why I'm doing this, I think, is because a lot of people see you here every weekend, but they don't understand how far you go back.
Yeah.
And been here since the beginning.
Card-carrying member of the Rays Founders Club. There's a few of us out there, but I'm pretty much... maybe me and one other Q, Lawrence, comes up here once in a while, but there's not too many of the original crew.
Not too many.
They just veered off, and
or they don't live in the area.
They don't ride bikes. They probably still ride bikes. They just don't ride here.
Yep.
They're still just more outdoors guys. Or
Yep.
life takes us in crazy directions with kids and
it's fantastic that the place still stands and is still here and still does what we do every day.
Yeah, it's just constant. You can look at the stats at the end of the day of how many new people are still like, wow, where did this place come from? And it's like, we've only been here for 16 years. They don't have a clue.
And then we tell people to not to don't say anything.
It's definitely, it's our fight club. 100%,
The Rays Fight Club, where you just don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah.
You don't talk about Rays. Like, you come here and you ride.
More people used to come in and go, there's no signs. It's like, it's meant to be like that. If you know, you know.
Right.
It just, at first it started with just 100 people that knew that. Now it's 100,000 people that.
Well, we've accepted that, and it's gotten to the point now to where we, it's no longer like, it was never like the good old boys club. I'm not saying that, but it was definitely at the very beginning. It was just the guys who knew about it,
it was just a group of enthusiasts.
Just enthusiasts were the only ones that were riding here.
Yeah.
And it was Ray's buddies. It was guys that you knew, and it was just people who on the fringe that were already riders that kind of knew about it. Now, 16 years. We get people coming in who are just here on layovers
Yeah.
when they're flying from New York City to Denver, or maybe they're just on a road trip somewhere, or they come here for a seminar where they're training for a certain job.
Come to see their parents on Thanksgiving, and they're like, I got to check this place out. So they come in Christmas time.
Yep.
You know, they're here just to, visit relatives. And this is one of their, offshoots. I've got to go check this place out.
And it's gotten to the point now to where, it's not, we don't see as many of the, I don't want to say we don't see as many of the enthusiasts, because we do, but I'm saying that the people just coming in for their first time that are riding, we probably see just as many of those as we do.
The regulars are smart now. They just come during the week. They know it's quiet. They can enjoy the place without the mob that the weekends have become. It's overwhelming to see how many people are riding here on the weekends now.
Yeah,
and it keeps rolling. It gets bigger and bigger. As long as we got you guys, you, Paul, killing it, building great stuff every summer.
Yep. You try and raise the bar every year, and it's not easy to do.
No, but so far you guys have been killing it, man.
Yep.
Jeff, building great stuff.
Yep. And as an update, me, Jeff, and Paul went over to visit Ray at his house. Stayed over there for like 3 hours and talked about some of the summer stuff that we got brewing for the park. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. We got some
good stuff coming the way.
Ray has always been very ambitious. Like his projects that he comes up with.
That's to say the least ambitious.
Ambitious is what I call it, because sometimes I don't want to say crazy, but the profile world, when we expanded Profile World, that was almost on the border of being a crazy idea that I didn't think was going to get done within a span of time that we had. We only had that, 5 months, and it's like, 5 months is a lot. Yeah, 4 dudes, doing all of that. And it was a big job, but Ray he swings for the fences.
Yeah, he's lucky he's got hard workers that are like, we got to make this happen. There's we can't get it done. It's always we'll get it done.
But Ray is always like, hey, even if we don't get it all done.
Yeah, but you guys are cashing the checks that he can't write.
Well, but he'll always give us like a little bit of an out. Like he'll just say, hey, look, if it goes a little bit over, we'll just keep working on it while we're open. We'll still open the doors. We'll just have that part closed off, and we'll pick away at it, and we'll finish it up, and then we'll debut it in December.
That's pretty rare, though. You guys usually
It is rare. It is
nail
rare.
it.
Yeah, the cross country.
That one little extension.
The extension
went over a little bit.
It did go over, and Ray was back there by himself, trying to finish that up, hanging lights.
Everybody else's riding bikes, he was back there.
Yeah, but I think that's been his thing ever since he opened the joint.
Yeah,
it's kind of been that way, to where he's always the one with the tool belt and walking around with a hammer and nails and screws and those ratty shorts where his privates were hanging out every now and then. I think he still got those shorts, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure. They're probably framed, hanging up in
I
his
used
house.
to tease him all the time. They had so many holes in his shorts. I'm like, Ray, what are you doing? He's like, they're comfortable.
Yeah. I'm like, we got sponsors now. They can probably get you some nice shorts.
I said, I'm coming tomorrow to work, and I'm going to bring you some shorts.
Because there was no difference. When you saw him riding, he was wearing those same shorts.
It's great. It is great, but why ruin a good pair of shorts? Because as soon as you walk into this place, when you're working, you don't wear good clothes, because
they were getting destroyed.
Yeah, destroyed. But he would wear those shorts, and I was like, one of these days, those things are going to, first of all, they're going to stand up on their own. Second of all, we're going to have to put them in a frame somehow, because those were like classic shorts. I hope you still have those, Ray.
Yeah.
By the way, because that would be really cool.
And they were just like sweatpants shorts.
They were sweatpants shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were barely there.
They weren't jean shorts. They weren't khakis. They were sweatpants.
Blue sweatpants shorts. And I think might have been only one pair.
Could have been. Or he could have been like Jay Leno. He could have had 100 pairs. Then just different one every day.
It was great. So
yeah, that was the early days, man.
Yeah. That
made it happen.
I know, but that's what it needed. That was the reason why the place got built, was
Yeah.
that he swung for the fences. He didn't ask for permission.
His mind was always going of what he could change.
He wasn't going to wait for somebody to give him the go-ahead.
Yeah.
He was just going to,
Well,
like,
he only had to answer to himself.
that's it.
So it was like, hey, Ray, do you like this idea? Ray, yeah, that's a good one. So it worked out.
Yep.
Good for us. Good for us as bike riders. And
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Some stuff I'm sure we didn't think was like the greatest, but you know what? We knew that if it didn't work out, he'd probably change it for the next season.
Sure. We talk about that stuff too.
The evolution at half the stuff. Other than, I think the Red Bull at the time, Red Bull berm was the only thing left in here of like the original configuration.
That is true.
And at the time, it was just a brown berm with an X on it, I think. It might have had a couple X's because it was the expert line.
That's right. He did put X on all the lips and landings on the jumps and painted them brown.
Everything was brown.
Everything was poop brown with big X's on it for expert.
But yellow X's.
And none of the berms were smooth.
No.
They were all like
Layered.
pieces layered on top of each other like this.
Sounded great when you rolled over them.
Well, you're riding a mountain bike.
That's
Mountain
right.
bikes had suspension.
Yeah.
They had low pressure.
Yeah, our trails
it didn't matter.
outdoors weren't smooth. They weren't perfectly paved. There were rocks and logs. And
back then, you only had a couple of the trails, and one of them was West Branch, and one of the main things was roots and rocks.
yeah, there was no trail crews. Nobody got together with shovels and rakes and cleaned them. You just rode what was there.
And if there was a tree down, you rode over it, or
learned
you
how to
built
ride
something over it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You stacked dirt around it. And
But I think that was a big reason why Ray was the way that he built things, and he was all about efficiency, efficiency and reusing what you had, and trying to keep the cost as low as possible, but still have something that was safe, and that was cool.
Yep.
And he had his own, all that stuff just came out of his head, and he would just throw it down, nail it together, and walk away.
Yep.
And be like, yep, that's good. Let's go ahead and move on to
let's
this.
get
If
to
you
the
stop and
next
think about it
feature.
too much, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
You just have to nail it together and move on.
And it was super simple. Some stuff, like a rock garden, was just 4 2x4s in a box with some rocks in it. A couple little logs going up to it. You rode across it for 5-6 feet. Off you went.
That was great.
But-
Nobody had ever seen that before.
But yeah, we were like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, ride over that.
Some of the stuff at the very beginning was very technical.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff was very, like, it had a lot of consequence to it. If you didn't do it just right, like, you had a 4 or 5 foot fall.
You were falling, yeah.
Yeah, down.
Safety was not really an issue, but it stemmed from if you were out in the trails, there was nothing safe. There was no nets outside.
Nope.
So
Nope.
Unfortunately, if you were trying to ride across a little skinny log that was elevated off and you fell off, you were probably going to, skin a knee or hurt an elbow. So he wasn't worried about 100%.
Same thing with the roof.
Yeah.
So it's leaking a little bit.
Bringing the outdoors indoors a
It's
little
mountain
bit.
biking, man.
Yeah.
Like, so what are you going to do? You're going to stop, pick up your bike if you go to a puddle on the trails?
Yeah, you didn't. You rolled through it.
You rolled right through it.
Didn't bother you.
It's mountain biking. I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the way that he kind of put it all together. And like everybody, like yourself, who was there at the very beginning, just was like, yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
We didn't sweat that stuff.
No.
Even though the idea was to bring it indoors to be out of the elements,
Right.
but that little bit of element, and everybody understood it was an old building. We weren't, this wasn't a brand new.
And it was the only way it was going to happen.
Yeah.
If anything like this was going to happen, it was going to happen in an old, crusty, industrial, not being used,
Yep.
dilapidated, horrible conditions. And then Ray just looked at it and saw something and was just said, I'm just going to fix it up enough to ride bikes in it, or we're just going to ride bikes in it.
Yeah.
We're not holding conferences or conventions. We're just riding bikes in it. So let's just make it rideable.
Yep.
So
That stuff wasn't a big issue.
no, it was great.
It's more of an issue now. because we want to give everybody the greatest experience. And it's, it can be bad if the trail, as far as the wood, gets wet, then it starts getting soft. And
Yeah, then we'll go out there and replace it.
But nobody's ever really complained that,
No.
hey, man, there's a leak, man, I'm not going to pay to ride here.
Everybody's really cool.
Yeah, everybody, they get it.
Yeah.
They understand that, it's a cool place to go. We're not going to nitpick that little stuff.
But it's crusty,
It is.
just like you.
100%. It's old and crusty.
We're going to have to put you out there somehow. We're going to have to paint your face on the wall out there somewhere.
Yeah, when I get cremated, I'll give you some ashes.
Oh, I
My
don't know
wife
if
will
we
give
want to
some
do
ashes.
that.
Sprinkle.
In the basement. On
Well,
the roof.
They'll go through those little holes in the floor.
They will, all those holes for the PVC.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so a lot of people out there don't know either. Like, there's a lot of shenanigans that happens around here, and a lot of
just a
them are
little bit.
caused by you.
Yeah, I try to, keep it light-hearted around here. Everybody's, we don't want anybody being too serious.
No. You can't be too serious. We had one person that was a little too serious.
Yeah. You
And
know
he didn't
who
last-
you are if you're watching this.
He didn't last too long.
It was pretty comical, though. Making him go to the store to get some Halloween costumes was priceless.
Yeah.
And I guess, you got to have some thick skin to work here.
You
It's
do.
part of the fun.
You do?
But I think, that's what we want here. We want you to be able to work, get your job done, but also have fun doing it.
You got to have a little bit of fun, and then that translates to the customer. And then the customer that's walking in the door is going to get that experience.
Yeah.
Without going too far over the edge.
Yeah, he doesn't want to feel intimidated walking in here like, oh my gosh, these guys are, really serious. And I just like to ride bikes for fun. And, right off the bat, we're
You never know.
We're cracking jokes to the people right coming in, and they're like, it knocks the edge off, and they're like,
It totally
oh,
knocks the edge off.
This is going to be a fun place.
Because you just don't know what that person has been dealing with all day or all,
Yeah.
all week or all month. Or sometimes that person's whole life they've been dealing with something.
And we want, as soon as they walk through there, to leave that stuff behind.
Leave it at the
You're
door.
here for a couple hours to have fun and ride your bike and forget about it. Because that's kind of why we skateboarded and ride our bikes anyway, to get away from that stuff.
Yep.
You know, we lose our mind, and you concentrate on the trails, and all that other stuff gets out of your head.
I know.
So we want our customers to forget all that stuff. Come in here and have a good time.
So tell us the difference between the Tri-Flow Challenge and the new challenge.
Oh my God, yeah, the Tri-Flow. I don't know how that even started, but yeah, every new worker would have to put a little drop of Tri-Flow on their tongue. And we got to...
This wasn't... Oh, hold on a minute.
Oh, wait.
This was not my rule.
This wasn't in the handbook. This wasn't in the Ray's handbook.
This wasn't in the...
This is totally off the record.
Right.
We'll have to delete most of this.
I did not cover this.
No.
At the meeting that we have before the new people start.
But we wanted to make sure that, these young kids, these punk kids, that they just didn't come into this great situation working here. They had to earn it. So we had a, little drop of Tri-Flow. But the new one, but somebody brought it up that it would be a good change, Keith Miller.
What?
The hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer. I would never
Pretty
say
sure
that.
Said, yeah, we should probably stop the Tri-Flow and let's do hand sanitizer. I'm like, all right, I think we should. Let's try it.
I think I was just funning.
But I actually put some on my tongue, and I'll save all the young guys that one.
You're not going to do it?
I did it.
I mean,
and
you did
horrible.
it, but you're not going to...
I'd rather do Tri-Flow any day.
Really?
Yeah.
Tri-Flow tastes better than...
The hand sanitizer is horrible. I guess it's just for your hands. I really think it's just for your hands.
Kids.
Don't consume hand sanitizer.
Listen to this guy. This would be the only
Public
time...
announcement.
This would be the only time ever I will say, listen to what he said. It's the only time ever. Listen to what he says. Don't consume Tri-Flow or hand sanitizer because it's really not good for you. But there was a time where that was happening. Now, I never did it. I never did the Tri-Flow Challenge. And I'm definitely not doing the hand sanitizer.
I think there's maybe you and there might be one other person that might have. I don't think John has done the Tri-Flow.
Jonna hasn't done it?
I don't think so.
That's good. Don't do it, Jonna.
No, we'll get you to do it.
Brooke has done it?
Oh,
Brooke hasn't done it either?
Wait, we got Brooke here. Come on, Brooke. Come on the other side of the camera real quick.
Just come over here so everybody knows who
we were giving you props at the beginning.
That you weren't here.
Because
so
you're the one behind.
Everybody knows who Brooke is.
Brooke.
This is Brooke.
Yeah.
Thank you. We were giving you props earlier saying what a great job that you've done with all this stuff. So we do appreciate it.
And she's another one. She came here as just a rider that just evolved into a super ripper. And, now she's 100% like working here. Not just like at the counter, but now doing social media stuff and filming stuff. And it's crazy how, you're in here maybe to think you're just going to do one job. And then it's like, ooh, you can actually do this? You wear many hats. Like you wear 800 hats. You're a plumber. You're a roofer.
Electrician.
You're an electrician.
Yeah.
Certified in none, but whatever it takes to keep the place going.
That's it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get it going, and that's exactly what Ray was doing.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find those people that's willing to do stuff like that. So,
even she does it, Brooke. I know she does it because she loves mountain biking. She loves what she's doing, and that's just hey, if that's what it takes to make it even cooler and a better experience.
We've thrown her to the dogs too with the women's weekend thing. So she's been
now she's helping out the thing that Nina B started from the beginning.
Yep.
Which is a super rad idea, not to get off camber, but man, that was the raddest thing because there was such a small women's market.
There was.
In bike riding. It was a macho man thing. And there was some rad chicks that were doing it and beating Nina being one of them.
Nina being the OG.
Definitely.
Seriously, the OG.
Ripping at Shenga and stuff like that. And, started this. Hey, let's, there are some other girls that would like to do this, but don't want to be intimidated by the guys. And, a weekend was, birthed from that, hey, they can come in and the guys aren't allowed. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of the pro girls that were given lessons, and it just, it started from probably 50 girls. I don't know the original number, but now there's a couple hundred. And they have to cap it because there's not enough teachers and time. You could literally do a whole weekend.
You could.
Of the girls learning from the pros, and
we could probably do like if we wanted to spread it out over the 3 days, but it would not be great to close the park for 3 days. But if we did, we probably could fill each day with 100 different women each day. 100.
Yeah, it's easy.
It would be pretty easy to do that with the amount of talent that we have coming in as instructors and assistant coaches and our volunteers and our employees. I mean, just the talent is just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And, Nina was a huge part of getting that whole thing together.
Yeah, totally.
And had that vision to say, hey, I want to have an all girls thing. And look what it is today. Yeah. Like it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest event, women's event, in the world.
And she's still doing it. She's now in Texas, Austin, and she's still, 100% being the promoter, to get younger girls competing now, at some of the Vans Park series, know.
And the X Games stuff too.
X Games stuff. It's amazing, what she's constantly, still to this day, pushing girls to get on a bike or ride, progress their riding, not be afraid to try something that, mostly guys do.
Right.
Which is super rad. And I know the whole park, Ray's is 100% behind that whole.
And it's hard to find, a female to work here at Ray's, in this kind of atmosphere.
It's definitely intimidating.
It's a little intimidating, yeah, and it's a little loose and it's fun and
They gotta have thick skin.
But the problem is that Nina set the bar too high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She was great when I worked the counter with her a little bit before she had left, and
she
was
bulldog.
a tough cookie, man. Yeah.
Bulldog. Yep. And so every person that I bring in or that I have an interview with or that I talk to that's interested in working here, like that's one of the things you have to be able to do is be that bulldog.
Yeah.
And be able to, take control of situations and, and sometimes it's hard to do because some of these guys come in and,
they expect to be treated a certain way.
But it's great. It's great to have Brooke working here and then Jonna, of course, coming in, working the weekends, Saturdays only.
Shanta, when she was working here,
Shanta works out great.
and still helping out and doing
It's
classes.
Fantastic. Man, I love having the girls here working here. It's great. And it keeps us in check.
A little bit.
It does.
I think,
It does.
We try to be nice to them, but they're coming into our world, so,
Oh, my God.
they got to deal with us.
No, I don't think that's the way that works.
That's the way we perceive it.
No.
We love them, though.
They take control, and we just do what they say. Okay, I'll get right on that. It's great. But so like every year that goes by, you're still going to get that phone call from me and going, hey man, here's your
and
out.
As long as I'm standing up on my 2 feet, I'm going to go, hell yeah, I'm in. I would not miss it for the world.
Being here and seeing all the cool stuff that happens and dealing with some of the stuff the unexpected stuff that happens. And you're my vomit guy.
Yeah, or blood.
Vomit and blood.
See the blood.
Right. I can't do the when somebody gets sick to their stomach, I can't do that. So I go, hey, Joe.
But you'll clean a total disaster in the bathroom.
I don't know what it is. There's a difference.
To me, I wouldn't want to do that. I have once, but I just don't want to do that. That's gross.
It is gross, but that's why I think somebody just gets sick from food poisoning, or maybe they had a rough night the night before at the Marriott.
Little puke's not too bad.
Oh, I can't do it. So I'll just always call you. So that's one thing that I'm like, look, as long as I got Joe here on the weekends, that's one thing I don't have to do.
Yeah.
My vomit guy.
I'll do it. I don't mind. My boys threw up on me when they were little. It's the same thing, different pile.
Maybe it's just because I've not had kids, so I haven't been thrown
100%.
up on.
Yeah.
So I haven't.
You learn to go. It's just.
I still have the gag reflex. Just talking about it right now, I got a little bit of that right there. I can't even talk about it. It gets me sick.
And I got to come in and see my. I've acquired sons, and I have to see Paul. Paul's my adopted son.
That is true.
So I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't see him.
And you guys exchange Christmas gifts around the holidays?
Always, yes.
As just an excuse.
Yeah.
Kinda, not so much the Christmas thing, but just because you want to exchange gifts.
He always, he's always thinks of me. Anytime he's up at Westside Skates and he sees Suicidal Tendency socks, he knows that I need those. And when I see a little King Diamond figurine, and I go, there's one person that would love that, and it's Paul.
It is Paul Rad.
Paul Rad. So he's definitely my kid that, I didn't know I had somewhere.
Yeah.
And we compared older driver's license when I had the long hair and the glasses, and he easily could have been one of my kids. That's for
Break
sure.
out that photo.
Oh no.
Where's the photo?
I don't have the driver's license photo, but I think
the driver's license photo is pretty good, but
I do have a picture with not many people remember me with the hair, but yeah, I had some.
Well, wait a minute.
I had some crazy hair.
Is that you with Ozzy?
Yeah.
That is not you with Ozzy Osbourne? Seriously?
Yeah.
Was that like a meet and greet?
Yeah. A little backstage.
Can you frame that in there? Is that framed good? A little closer?
That big 80s mustache.
Look at that. Ozzy Osbourne and Kona Joe.
Aviator glasses.
Can you believe that?
I had a lot of hair.
Oh my God, that's great. Look at that. That is fantastic.
Yeah, and Paul Rudd had a bunch of hair too at one time. So
He did have a bunch of hair. And you guys together, when you guys would work together, would drive me crazy with all your artwork and all the things.
What kind of artwork would that be? What kind of
know what kind of.
What section of the anatomy would that be?
That would be in the nether regions. That kind of anatomy artwork that would get posted up.
Once in a while, yeah. Sometimes.
No, not once in a while. It'd be like almost on the hour. There'd be a new drawing somewhere.
I think there was stuff even carved in wood, maybe too.
Oh yeah. The hammer handles and it was pretty crazy.
See, how can you not enjoy working in a place that, of course, we don't have an HR department, so that stuff kind of.
No, we don't. I mean, I try to be the HR department, but
it's all dealt internally. Yeah, we're policed internally.
I think everybody polices themselves at this point.
We've crossed the line a few times, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, hey guys, reel it back in just a little. Could you reel it back in just a little bit, just right to the line? You go to the line. Yeah. Just don't go over the line.
1 foot on the line, but that's as far. Yeah, that's what we love too, that we get away with that. Because happy workers are good workers.
That is true. That is true.
Obviously, there's a line that can be crossed, but I think if everybody's having fun, day goes faster.
Yeah.
We're enjoying it. Our customers know that we enjoy working here.
Yeah.
So they enjoy coming because they know they're going to, have some fun times and some jokes.
It honestly took me a while to grasp.
You were definitely a little stiff in the beginning.
I was stiff in the beginning because,
but
it was
you
just.
had to be. You were the manager. If you just let us go, it would have been chaos. And it has been. There's one story where the one time Keith finally decides to leave with Diane to go trail riding, and he forgets something or has to come back, and the music is changed. And if you know this part from way back, that was the huge sore spot in this place.
Was the music.
And the music was changed, and he blew up. He had a fit, and right then we knew it's like, oh crap, we crossed that line. But you had to be that guy. Unfortunately, you were that guy that had to be. I got to be the father, and you guys can't do this. And we hated it. We hated you. We're like, God, he's such a dick. But if we didn't, this place would have burned down years ago.
Yeah.
So thank you that you were. But then you reeled back through the years.
And we came to a nice conclusion,
we all kind of mellowed out.
We all had a big group hug and just said, "This is not about us. It's about the person walking through the door." And
and the music definitely. The shoestrings got loosened up on that music. Thank God, because one can only hear the Blues Brothers.
Well, it was coming from Ray, and Ray had a certain.
Ray, that's what he liked. The Blues Brothers and
poor Ray.
Frampton Comes Alive we heard 800 times, which that wasn't too bad. And the Van Halen.
And the Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Creedence. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was just over and over and over again, and we've kind of learned to walk that line now with the music. But there was a time where I think it was like one of those when Dad leaves, we're just gonna because he was just holding us down. He was holding us down. And then as soon as he leaves, we're just going to be like,
we exploded. Yeah.
Turn it up.
Do you remember that, though, when you came in that time?
I think, unfortunately, there was probably more than just the one time that happens because I was trying.
I remember the most because I think it was cut into my brain because I know, you knew I had changed the music a lot, and you were too nice and you generalized it as, hey guys, don't change the music. But when he was saying guys, he was looking at me.
Looking right at you.
Because I was
hey guys,
the idiot that changed it a lot. There we go, stepping on that line and jumping over it and then coming back and stepping over. So yeah, I appreciated that. That's why I'm like, man, if he put up with all that bullshit, and he still wants me back. But everybody, you loosened up, man. And I think you're a happier manager for it now.
Well, yeah, but I also had to go to bat. I had to go to bat for you guys, to talk to Ray and just say,
because unfortunately you were stuck in the middle.
I was in the middle, and I was like, I understand what you guys are saying, and I get it, but Ray wants it this way. And then you guys were pushing me. And then when Ray would come in and hear a certain thing, he'd come to me and he would say, what is going on with the music? We are not, who is this? And who's playing the Cookie Monster music?
Monster music, that's what he called it.
Who's playing the Cookie Monster music? You can't even listen to what they're saying, you know. And I, you know, I couldn't argue. I mean, he had a point. He had a point to where it was like the Cookie Monster music was over the line. But you guys were, you know, just kept poking the bear.
We were good at poking the bear.
And just like, let's see how far we can push him before he either quits, has a nervous breakdown, or just wants to fight us all.
Yeah, punch us in the face. And he never did.
Or eventually just gave in.
Yeah. And we think that he gave in a little bit.
Like I said, I had to go to bat. Yeah. I had to say, hey, look, we need to approach music in a little different way. Like, you have to trust me.
And it wasn't just us. Our customers evolved, and they just, you know, it was getting more eclectic, and there was the music styles for some of our customers. And it was hard to ride. You know, the park was an aggressive park. What we were riding became aggressive. And I think that type of music, we wanted a little more of aggressive music because it helped us ride better, pumped.
Yep.
I know guys would love the session to some Killer Slayer, you know, hitting that big Red Bull jump and just boosting it.
Yep.
It's hard to do it to something mellow.
Right, like Pink Floyd or something, you know, like that.
That's for a different time. That's when you're chilling afterwards.
I know.
Kicking back a few cocktails.
But it's, you know, the argument was that it's just background music. It's not music to ride to. Like, you're not supposed to.
But it was more.
But the argument was that yes, we do ride to that, and yes, we are listening, and yes, it does matter,
it's
and
an
yes,
aggressive,
you know,
from skateboarding, the music, it played 100% the part.
But through all that, through all of your input, Paul's input, Jeff's, mine, Ray's, like, we all kind of came together, and now we have a playlist that I think is really good.
Yeah.
And it's ever changing.
Yeah.
It's ever changing, and we weed out little things here and there.
But it's nice when you get a customer that tells us,
they'll come up.
Yeah,
they'll come up.
Music's really cool. Thanks for playing it. It's like,
Well, I think that happened just last weekend. As a matter of fact, a guy came up and said, "Man, what playlist are you playing?"
Yeah.
Like, that's some really good stuff.
Yep.
Like, gosh, whoever hears Steel Panther?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, that's kind of a goofy song, but it's on there, and it's cool.
And you didn't believe that one guy was psyched that Wasp was actually being played.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said, like, you guys need to play more Wasp. And I'm like, that's a really weird, like, because most people don't say anything because it's a nice neutral thing, but you know, the back and forth thing about the music, it got to a point to where it was driving me crazy. I was losing sleep. I was like, man, these guys are gonna kill me with this music.
We weren't losing sleep at all. That's the problem.
I know.
We slept like babies.
But that's when I saw that, and I'm like, these guys are like, they don't care. I'm like, maybe I should have that same thing. Like, I don't even care.
If you
but
can't
I could,
beat us,
I
you
couldn't
gotta
do
join
that.
us.
Well, I did to a certain point. So for those of you who don't know, like in the mornings when we're here, from 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning,
it's
if anybody ever comes in, like we get a delivery, or you know, like maybe like I know Catherine or Shanta will come up early in the morning. And they'll come in, and it's blasting, and it's good stuff, and we're yelling and screaming and dancing around and getting pumped up for the day because we know it's going to be hectic, and we know from the time we open the door at 9 o'clock to the time we clock out at 4 or 5 or 6,
go down and everything's changes.
That we're not going to be able to listen to any of it.
Yeah.
And you know,
some good times.
Those are always good times.
Yeah.
You know, before
we solve all the world's problems in that time too.
Do we?
Yeah.
We've gone through some phases of music, you know, where we put on some stuff or put on some other stuff, but
little club. We had a club vibe the other morning. Yeah, a little.
We did. We played some. What is
like
that?
A rave going on.
Some
KDFM
trance
or whatever it was.
EDM.
EDM.
And
we were bumping. Lights were flashing.
We had the lights flashing on and off. Now, if we would have had the GoPro then, we would have.
Molly, it would have been a whole different story.
Oh my God! Let's not even go into there. Let's change the subject. So
Just how eclectic it is.
Yes, eclectic. Oh my God, how many more drug references can we do
We got
in
some
one day?
time.
We got
we'll put
three.
some
We
more
got
in.
three so far.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit more time to go.
That'll be episode 2.
Oh my God.
The drug years.
That's in Ray's new book that's coming out.
Yeah, we don't want to be a spoiler alert.
It is on the way,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, there will be a volume 2 to that bestseller. Maybe I'll get a bigger picture than my little head on the back cover. But I'm happy for that. I appreciate it. And my name's on the founding members poster that you can find in here.
And you're still working here today.
Kona Joe, a.k.a. Yeah. Like I said, though, I wouldn't have it any other way.
It's so great.
My wife laughs at me, too. She's like, you going to work there again? I'm like, yeah, I love it.
She's like, oh, all right.
Gets me out of the house on the weekend. She's like, get out.
And you still show up every weekend, every Saturday, Sunday morning.
The older I get, I'm a little later. You know, I'm 8:10, 8:15.
But you make up for that.
Yeah.
And how do you make up for that?
I don't know. How do I?
What do you
the laughs?
What do you bring? No, not the laughs.
Well, I'll bring some treats in the morning. 5-pound bag of popcorn or bagels with schmear. Yeah.
So it's okay if you're, 20
from the
minutes
blow.
late, half
But
hour late.
I was at the bagel shop.
I was at the bagel shop waiting for them to make the bagels.
Traffic was crazy.
We've had some good times, man. I appreciate you.
Great times.
And it's going to continue, hopefully.
Yeah.
I really
It's only
do
gonna
hope.
get better.
I really do hope that when I do make that call, that you could continue to say yes, even
Yep.
though I'm telling you that you don't have to.
Yeah.
Joe, you don't have to keep doing this. You can go have your weekends in the winter and go do whatever you do. I don't know what that is. I don't know what it would be, but it
I
could.
don't know what it would be either. I can't skate outside. It gets snowy, so.
Yeah.
One of these days, I keep pushing for a little skate ramp in the back. But
Well, it might happen.
we'll work on that.
But we're keeping all that.
Yeah, on
Keeping
the
all that
hush-hush. Just
hush-hush.
so, for just the Kona Joe session. It'll be padded because I suck at skating, but
Well,
I'll keep coming back. I love it.
I
love
do
the
appreciate
people.
it.
I love you guys.
Thanks for coming in and sitting down to Helmet Talk.
And we made it through a couple hours. Neither one of us farted. That's
I can't
amazing.
believe it when the camera's rolling and the
Yeah.
mics are on.
But
Not
my
one.
stomach is gurgling, so I think maybe because I'm
Should we
sitting
try
down,
and like stretch it out a little more so we
I'd
can
probably
just
poop
get
my
one
pants.
out?
I don't want to poop my pants.
Don't do that on camera. Don't do that.
You wouldn't notice. They can only see us from the waist up, right? Oh wait,
It's a wide angle.
there we go.
Oh.
You might not have heard it, but the couch vibrated. I closed us out. I knew I had one in me.
Oh, that's the
On
greatest.
that note, thank God it's not smell-o-vision.
Oh, thank goodness.
There's going to be so many disclaimers on this YouTube video. It might not even make it.
It might not even make it.
You can't talk about that. You can't fart.
You can't talk about other things that we shouldn't be talking about. It's Ray's.
It's all about the experience at Ray's. Well, it's
Ray was always a straight cut, straight laced
man.
guy.
He would never be doing that.
He's
church.
He's an angel.
Yes.
The guy's been an angel.
100%.
We love you, Ray.
Yeah. Totally, Ray. Thanks for everything.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah.
And work with this crazy guy.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Helmet Talk. See ya.
Out.
God.
We got to go back to work.
I know, we're still working.
Oh,
I can't believe it.
Fart out.